Yes, thank you for taking my question. So we've learned that China is now counting asymptomatic cases. In this slide, how can the public trust the previous numbers that have been given by China? And if the World Health Organization agrees that numbers are important in this fight against the pandemic, what can be done to keep countries like China accountable and transparent, lest there can be some perceptions by the public that the World Health Organization itself is being manipulated or taken for a ride in this crisis? Thank you.
I think Maria addressed the issue of asymptomatic infection before, so I hope you were able to listen to that answer. I won't dare to offer to repeat it. You can certainly listen to the transcript. With regard to the issues of transparency and working with countries, we work with all countries, and in fact, if you look at the amount of data that's been put out by many countries, and if you look at the number of peer-reviewed publications that have been made by colleagues from Korea, from Japan, from Singapore, from China, from other parts of China like Hong Kong, there's been a deluge of fantastic scientifically based, evidence-based publications coming out on a daily basis from colleagues in all of those situations. There have been I think we had 27, you were saying this morning, Maria, different teleconferences going on today with experts all over the world sharing real-time information with each other, and they all include colleagues from China and colleagues from Asia. So I think we need to be very careful also not to be profiling certain parts of the world as being uncooperative or non-transparent, and we need to look at transparency across the board. We need to look at solidarity across the board. We need to look at contributions across the board. We need to compare apples with apples and oranges with oranges. We need to look at the epidemic in Switzerland as a population-based epidemic, and the population and the epidemic in Italy. We need to look at what are countries, and if one country is only sampling cases over a certain age and with certain symptoms, are they non-transparent, or are they preserving maybe a very precious diagnostic result and they don't have the capacity to test? So sometimes we attribute lack of transparency to what are natural limitations in a response, or natural limitations in the lack of availability of information. Are we saying maybe that the lack of precise information from Italy on the condition of patients is because of lack of transparency, or because we have a system overwhelmed with thousands of patients coming in today, every day, and doctors and nurses struggling just to provide basic care? Are we saying they're lacking in transparency and not sending WHO the data every day? No, we need to look at the context here, and I think we need to show a little bit more balance. We need to be critical, and we will be, and we will work with every single country to ensure that we're getting the best possible data from them. But at the same time, we need to be balanced in that, and we need to recognise that systems under pressure find it hard to share everything on a minute-to-minute basis. And I hope I'm not being too strident in my response, but frankly, at times, I think we get over-focused on this issue.
I want to add something that in this era of this new virus, there's so many unknowns, there's so many questions that we have, which have been identified through our research and development meeting that we had in February, but there are a lot of questions that we still have, and all of these teleconferences that we're having, people are sharing their experiences with not only WHO, but sharing their experiences with other countries. And as an evidence-based organization, we rely on that data, we rely on that evidence. And in countries that are overwhelmed right now, they may not be able, as Mike just said, they may not be able to capture that and report that and conduct those studies that need to be done. But other countries that aren't as overwhelmed or that have higher levels of capacity, there's certain research that can be done right now that could answer critical questions around virus shedding, around modes of transmission, around many different things, natural history. And so it's almost like a call to action here in this solidarity that we have for this virus to try to better capture the data and the results from studies where we can, so that it can feed in and it can help other countries that may be overwhelmed at the present time. So we are seeing that. We are seeing countries that are doing studies that are sharing results. And we hope that that will continue. We know that that will continue. And we're very happy to collaborate with a large number of groups regularly through teleconferences and reading those papers. I have to say, it's even hard for us to keep up with the papers, but we have large numbers of teams that are going through those publications, and we thank groups that are sharing their publications, pre-publication materials with us, because it's all reviewed and it's all fed into our evidence.